Wasteland Wednesday!
Azrael is a 2024 American-Estonian film directed by E.L. Katz and stars Samara Weaving, Vic Carmen Stone, and Nathan Stewart-Jarrett. The plot follows a woman trying to escape a religious cult in a post-apocalyptic world years after a biblical rapture. So this was a movie that I really wanted to see last year, but it played for like 3 days in my local theater, so I had no chance. I liked the trailer. Samara Weaving is cool. I thought it looked like it had a folk horror vibe a little bit. Simon Barrett is a very prolific writer, too, so that caught my eye as well. E.L. Katz seems like an interesting director also, but it was the bonkers story that really, grabbed me. A story about what I assume is the biblical rapture. And from what I've read, that is pretty much it, though I could be wrong since there is no dialogue here, adding to the film's kind of stripped down style. Which I gotta say, shockingly, it actually did work for me. It kind of allowed me to try and figure everything out through other means, but it's still a super bold move. I was surprised at how much I didn't miss really any dialogue at all. Simon Barrett wrote a script that I think it moved at the right pace. It's a very propulsive story that is, it's a bit of a ride. And it's just as much of an action film as it is horror. In ways, it kind of reminded me of Apostle from 2018, although I liked this quite a bit more. So the film starts off with a bang. Not that there are many slow moments to be found here, because there aren't. I do have to say, though, this is where my complaints start. You see Azrael played by Samara Weaving, and Kenan, I think his name was, played by Nathan Stewart-Jarrett, who I assume is her partner. And they're running through the forest, or should I say being chased, by forest-dwelling cult members. I assume they were part of this cult, which, everyone seems to have the same scar where their vocal cords were removed. Now, Wikipedia actually says that Azrael and Kenan were outed by the cult, but that doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. I think they were trying to escape. There are, if it sounds like I'm being vague with parts of this movie, it's just because, again, there's no dialogue, and so there is kind of a lot that you just kind of have to. There's some conclusions you have to kind of draw yourself. And in addition to the cult members, there are also like these weird, like, burned up monster people to worry about. I don't know really. I think they call them the burned ones. I think that's what Wikipedia says. Although I don't remember that ever popping up in the movie. But I actually liked their design. Pretty cool. I would say the makeup work here is actually pretty good. They kind of reminded me of the creatures from The Descent, although not quite as cool as that. And a good amount of this film is, Azrael and Kenan, trying to escape the cultists. It's action-packed, and I didn't find it boring at all. But I had hoped for a bit more in, like, the storytelling department. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's not, like, void of a story or anything like that, because it totally isn't. You do learn some things about the cultists, but with no dialogue, you really have to pay attention, because this is obviously it's a completely visual story. One thing that I've noticed is that a lot of people did not like this film, because of the very, very vague storytelling, which I gotta say is a problem I had. I pretty much agree with all of those people, although I did overall enjoy this. Apparently, from what I've read, a lot of the story is left open to interpretation. And again, I suppose you could say it was a pretty bold move on Simon Barrett's part, but I would have preferred a little bit more clarification. You can still be vague about some things while clarifying others. And even with, things being open to interpretation, there are scenes that are frustrating because there is almost no reasonable explanation that I could come to. There's a really, really cool movie in here somewhere, but unfortunately, we don't really get, the version that I think I would have liked to have seen. But that's fine. It's not my movie. I didn't make it. I didn't have any part of it. What we do get is fun, bloody as hell, tons of surprisingly good practical gore. Like, this is a very violent movie, and I did like I did like the ending. I liked the third act. But there's some stuff in here that doesn't make any sense. I don't know. If you just want to watch something that that is fun and gory and violent and just a decent time, I would recommend this to you if you like all that kind of stuff. But also don't mind asking a ton of questions and having literally none of them answered. I would love a sequel though. I would like to see more of this world. Although I doubt that's going to happen. I think this is supposed to be a one-off, vague story. And I don't know. I guess that just wasn't quite enough for me. Again, I still kind of enjoyed it. So I'm giving Azrael a 5.5 out of 10. Again, it's a fun, violent watch. And I'm a sucker for these kind of religious, folk horror type films. And I would recommend it if you like, stuff like that too. Cheers, guys, and I'll see you at the multiplex.
Subscribe right now, please.